one is going to be a short one. Uh, I just wanted. I started to watch a few videos now. There's a. I think I mentioned them in the past. Coursera. They have amazing videos, especially on disaster preparations and things like that. And I've been watching one on health engineering. I think that's the proper term, and it's very fascinating. It got me to think of a few things, and I wanted to bring that a little bit. I know I'm not the most um, share like I don't have the most views. I'm not the most popular YouTube YouTube videos on there, and even been told that when I go on other channels, sometimes they lose money because of me. So, but one thing I wanted to bring, and it kind of brings to what I want to share, is that sometime I find a lot of the videos out there, and or when I get into one of the reasons I was on YouTube was more for a response to other stuff I was seeing that seems to be wrong to me. And when we want to have a discussion, evidence based is always the best way, because it's not my opinion, is the research. We can have different opinion on the research, but we still need the research or have a point to go. It seems a lot of people, especially in the medical, because that's mostly what I know, they sometimes have some of the views, and a lot of the time either I got blocked. Yes, it did happen. Or I had to stop watching the videos because my blood pressure would just go up because of the absurdity that they were saying. And we're talking about people that actually have knowledge, and it's worrisome that they have a training that has probably the same training, even sometimes more than my training, but yet they come to totally different conclusions, and they're not being to search. Sadly, the impact that it has, and obviously for health, but in other subject, is that there's kind of a bias going on. Is that because I got 100,000, 150, or 180, or 200,000 followers, and suddenly it makes me an authority because I got a big follow up. Bring back to in the past, a lot of the percentage of the earth believe that the earth was flat. There's still people that believe that today, despite that it's been proven otherwise. And it needed some outside thinker and people that was willing to challenge those ideas to, like, hey, let's have a discussion. Maybe we're wrong. In my field, the Galenianic, if you ever want to see the history of medicine, which is fine, actually I'll put a TED talk down there, a TED segment, which is very fascinating, because this doctor from the Roman time, so like way behind, hold a lot of our knowledge way back, because people were so encrusted of believing what he said and not challenging, and there was. And so why am I talking about that? A lot of the videos that I see on YouTube, and then actually a lot of the channel I stopped following, because it's like copy and paste. Always the same concept, always the same ideas that come back over and over and over. A lot of them now seems more like ads than any new ideas. It's like, here's the new gadget, here's the new things. But when you try to bring a dialogue, oh no, this person or this channel or whatever, this expert said X, and it must be real. And then here it's not true. No, it cannot be. And sadly, for especially what we're gonna face when the disaster happens, it's gonna hold us back, because reality doesn't matter what your beliefs are. If reality is X and you believe Y because of whatever reason, because you have your bias or whatever and thing, if X is what is going to happen, X is what's going to happen, because reality doesn't matter about what you believe. It's reality. One of those ones is, for example, and I did a video in the past because of on that topic, on the antibiotic. Everybody has fish antibiotics. Fish antibiotic is the greatest thing. Everybody needs that and everything. But they limit themselves, and it would be a little bit like saying that for those that know, there's like 3 categories of fire extinguisher: A, B, and C. And A is mostly for papers or combustibles, so like things like woods and things like that. But if you put an A on electronics, for example, it's water. Not going to work very good on you. Well, a lot of time I compare that to have only the antibiotics to saying I have an extinguisher. Yeah, but it's only a category. What about if you have B and C? No, but I have an extinguisher. I need a fire extinguisher. I'm ready for fire. Well, what about B and C? No. I got an extinguisher. I needed to have a fire extinguisher, and that's it and stuff. And so the discussion gets stopped a lot. So why do I bring all this and stuff? Is that recently I've been watching, like I was saying, some videos on different topics. And the reason that I do that is that I don't consider myself an expert. Knowledgeable, yes. Am I an expert in critical care medicine? Yes, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I know my stuff, and I've been doing it. So they say, in some place you'll hear like 10,000 hours. I did my 10,000 hour in critical care. In disaster, nobody really can say, like, especially when you call yourself a prepper specialist, prepper medicine specialist, whatever titles that sometimes they give themselves, you cannot be. It's impossible. Because did you do 10,000 hours in that field? Did you encounter 10,000 zombie apocalypse, 10,000 hours of zombie apocalypse, or anything like this, and now you're suddenly an expert? No, you cannot be. Are you a knowledgeable person? Yes. And there's a difference between an expert and knowledgeable, because knowledgeable means that you could be wrong. An expert could be wrong as well. But there's a difference, and it's important to make that difference, because, for example, a lot of the videos that I do, that's why I base it on what I see, and I can give a opinion, a well-documented opinion, well-supported opinion, but it's still an opinion. Will it work? I cannot test it. I can try it. I can do sims. I can do things like that and see what works and doesn't work. But at the end, would that work? I don't know. But base it on a lot of concepts, it could work. If anybody reads a lot of Stephen Covey stuff, he talks a lot about principles and values. And it's an interesting difference to make. It would be, for example, imagine that the values or your beliefs, if you want to put it in a bigger term, is a map. The map, let's say you have a map of Colorado for whatever reason. It works great when you're in Colorado. What happens if you're in California? How does your map in Colorado works for California? It's not the same thing. So great, but get out the concept. It doesn't work. Principle would be more like a compass. If you understand how a compass works, magnetic north is magnetic north. And so if I want to go into a direction, I can refine different ways of directing myself, because I'm following a principle. I'm following the magnetic north that I know it's up to the north. So if I want to go to the east or west, or I can follow the guy. Versus if I follow the map and I don't know where the north is or what it is, and it's not transferable. So a lot of the things I've tried to learn are principles for that purpose. Obviously, I have my own bias, I have my own beliefs, but I try not to taint the things I learn. And what I'm trying to do is, instead of learning horizontal, I try to learn lateral. What does that mean? So for another example, in the prepper, a lot of videos are on escape and evasion. And the reason, I believe, my opinion, is that it comes, a lot of people are trained or see videos or are focused from a military background, and so escape and evasion becomes important. But for civilians or people that are not in that context, is it important? Are you behind enemy lines that much? Are you if you so the values or the map of escape and evasion maybe wouldn't apply to your own situation, because you're in a different situation, apples and orange. You could use some of it, maybe, but maybe you're in a situation that's different. In the medical field, same thing. So what I try to use as my principles is the principles that they apply in humanitarian medicine. And why is that? Sure, there's a lot of disease that we won't see, that they have over there because of the reservoir that they have, the sanitation situation that they have. But make no mistakes, if we have enough of a big disaster over here, there's not much difference between a place in India and Colorado or any place in the States or anything like this. If the infrastructure goes dead, it's almost as bad, if not worse, than the place that they have over there, because they're used to it. We're not. This is why when I apply medicine, I always try to learn from those principles. And this is why I'm trying to learn horizontal, not vertical, because vertical means that in the same category you're learning, but I'm trying to open my mind, open new concepts, bring stuff that maybe it doesn't apply. Like I don't think I'll have to build a refugee camp for 150,000 people or 2 million people, but the concept, if they work on 2 million people, a group of 10 or 12, if the concept works for 2 million people in a little small base, probably it would be good to work for 20 people. And if you scale them down, it would probably work the same thing. So that was my introduction to some of the courses I'll recommend, and see the list down, especially the ones that I've started on sanitation, which was amazing, and I'm learning some great stuff. But there's some on water, and they're all free. You can pay if you want the certification, but most of the time you don't want. So just by auditing the course, and they have a great selection. So I would recommend that you see and look at down the list of some of them that I did, or I'm in the process of doing, and I think you would find some that are very interesting. So that was a short video that is getting a little bit long, but I'll talk to you soon.